June Mar Fajardo is without a doubt one of the greatest PBA players of all time. Already, at this point in his career, he has amassed enough awards, enough records, and enough championships for him to be considered in that conversation with the likes of Juan Fernandez, Robert Jaworski, and the list goes on and on. But why does June Mar Fajardo, his presence, why does he seem to have a lesser impact for the Philippines when it comes to international play? Here's why. So, for all you June Mar Fajardo fans, I'm not a hater. I love June Mar. I've followed him since his UC days when he was with the likes of Brian Heruela, Edward Pau, all those guys. And his game has always been the same way. It's been back to the basket. But in the international setting, let's talk about this for a second as to why he doesn't seem to get a lot of minutes, nor does he get a lot of calls called for him, or plays, sorry. Number one, his back to the basket game does not necessarily translate. The reason why he has so much success in the PBA is because, well, he's pretty much bigger than everybody else. Outside of Japhet Aguilar, Greg Slaughter, even Mo Tautua, who is on his team, there aren't really a lot of even stronger guys to defend June Mar Fajardo one-on-one. So the defense collapses, he kicks it out to the likes of a Marshall Lassett there, formerly Alex Cabagnot, Chris Ross, etc. It works for SMB. But in the international setting, those guys, the likes of France, Slovenia, European teams everywhere, even the likes of Japan, and you saw it against Indonesia, they were not afraid for their imports, their big bangers, to go one-on-one Fajardo. They're essentially stronger. I'm going to show you a small clip. This was against France about a couple of years ago. So June Mar Fajardo posts up and he tries to get position. But as he tries to get position, he is pushed all the way out to the three-point line. That is way too far. If you're June Mar Fajardo to start, you backing down towards the paint. That's the number one thing. His game does not translate to an international setting where we go to number two. A lot of the international setting requires for you to be able to play pick and roll on both sides of the ball. What do I mean? June Mar Fajardo has never been known as a role type player. He basically is, again, a back to the basket type of player, which works, but not in the international setting, again. So when he sets a pick, he never really rolls, he just stays and pops out. And he then tries to find a mismatch, but that never really happens because the coach on the other team knows that that's what he wants to do, so they always cover. Or they always have the guy go under, forcing our point guard or shooting guards to shoot, and Fajardo is stuck again with a really big dude, forcing him out of the three-point line. Second, and this is where he really hurts himself in an international setting. June Mar Fajardo is not the fastest guy on his feet. His lateral quickness leaves much to be desired. So much so that in almost any situation when June Mar Fajardo is on the floor defensively, the guards, the small forwards always try to attack him. They put him in pick and roll situations, creating mismatches, and our guards are not versatile enough or are not big enough, not athletic enough to defend the big men of the other team. We're talking again about standard bearers such as France, that's number one. Then you have Slovenia, number two. Spain, for example, the US, Latin American teams like Puerto Rico. Those teams are absolutely dominating us when June Mar Fajardo is on the floor because, again, when you get any kind of mismatch, June Mar Fajardo is either caught on a small or our smalls are caught on giants of men. And it is not a good look for us. So where is it even possible for June Mar Fajardo to start to gain a lot more minutes? It's number one, it's just defensively. If you're able to cover, if you're able to move laterally quick enough to at least bother guards on the perimeter, then you have a chance. If you're able to spot up, for example, or stretch the floor, because you're probably not gonna get what you want in the paint against these international bigs. So you move around a little bit, be a little bit more mobile. Randy Del Campo is, for me, a perfect big to place in the international setting. Somebody who can go in and out. But Fajardo, if he can stretch the floor a little bit, maybe a 10 to 15-foot jump shot, then you have a chance to be on the floor. Because if there's one thing we know that June Mar can really do in an international or local setting, it's rebound. And we need that. But can he get that? Can he get better? Can he stay on the floor? Leaves much to be desired. But again, what do I know? June Mar Fajardo probably know better. I'm just saying, if there's a reason why June Mar Fajardo is not seeing as many minutes as we would expect to be, that's the main reason why. He's not as athletic as Japhet Aguilar, for example. He doesn't stretch the floor like Ronaldinho Del Campo. He doesn't roll to the rim like a Japhet Aguilar or a Raymond Almazan. Those types of guys, or even a Troy Rosario who can also stretch the floor and go to the rim. Those are the athletic bigs that we've sort of become accustomed to using in an international setting. June Mar Fajardo is a little bit more laid back, but again, that's not to say he's not a good enough asset to have in an international setting. It's, can he keep staying on the floor despite those differences? Let's hope, because we really need June Mar Fajardo in the upcoming FIBA Asia Cup. Check out all our other videos as well. We talk a lot about Gilas Pilipinas, who the players should be out there on the floor. We even have June Mar on that list. So keep tuning in, subscribe. This is Jaff, GT Sports. Talk to you soon.